speaking right into the top of that guy there.
Okay.
I'll do a little intro and then we'll start talking. Ladies and gentlemen, in my house today, Faces Magazine 2018 Entertainer of the Year, mentalist James White is here.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, yeah, thanks for coming, man. It's amazing. I've never met a mentalist before, so I have a whole bunch of questions about what exactly that is. From Ottawa?
Yeah, I'm from Ottawa.
Born and raised?
Born and raised and everything from Ottawa.
Okay, what high school did you go to?
Maryville.
Maryville High School. Okay, so you don't look very old. How old are you?
Guess.
300.
Close. 30. 30. So if you
30.
subtract the zero.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was like something on our brainwaves talking to each other already. Can you imagine?
We have the gift.
That is the gift. How long have you been a mentalist?
I started doing this stuff when I was around 6 years old.
Okay.
So it's been 24 years. I got really focused into the mind aspect around 15 years ago.
Okay.
And it was basically because I was, I guess, an introvert, antisocial. Not antisocial, but an introvert, shy. Didn't kind of pick up social cues, I guess you could say. So then I started noticing patterns.
Okay. So hold on a second. You said you started this at 6 years old. What were you doing at 6 years old?
So basically, what's interesting is I saw a magician perform.
Okay.
And I was just mind blown. At that age, I kind of knew I needed to do something like this.
Yeah.
Magic was like, I used the principles of magic, and what I mean by that is a lot of the psychology in magic, like misdirection and stuff, can be applied in any aspect of life. Mm-hmm. So I basically took those principles and applied it to mind reading.
Okay.
Because I was really bad at magic. Like, I could not do anything.
Yeah.
But I was interested in it.
So at 6 years old, what did that look like?
It was awful. So the first trick I learned was, when you get a string, you cut the string in the middle and put the string back together.
Okay.
I always attempted that, but I could never actually do it.
Yeah.
And so it was not a pretty sight.
That sounds hard. It doesn't sound like something I could do at all. And a family, brothers and sisters?
I have two younger brothers.
Two younger brothers?
Yeah, they're both engineers.
Okay.
And my parents are also engineers. So I went to study serial killers. Like, that's what I went to university for. So, like, studying people, right?
What university did you go to?
Carleton.
Carleton University,
Yeah.
And they have a program, serial killers?
Criminology. So, yeah. So I was always fascinated why someone would commit a crime, because most of these people are quite similar to what we are. Mm-hmm. Even with serial killers, I have all these weird theories of why they're a serial killer. And the cool thing is nowadays you don't hear many. Actually, there's one in Toronto, but most of the time you don't hear much about serial killers is because they get caught so fast. So they don't become a serial killer because of our modern science or modern technology.
Yeah. What's that Netflix show there about the patterns of that's amazing. That's a great show. Mindhunter.
Yeah, so that's what I went to school for.
To be a mind hunter.
Yeah, but I don't want to be a mind hunter. But I do train like a lot of law enforcement and people in sensitive areas.
Okay.
On like how to read people, on memory, on observation.
Okay.
Because these are all stuff that you can learn. Just people to decide that they almost think it's you're born with a good memory or whatnot, and that's not true at all.
Okay.
So like I could give someone a better than photographic memory in 3 months with 10 minutes a day.
Wow. You should make an app.
I don't even know how to do that, but yes.
That sounds like an app.
Yeah.
Wow. So the general term is mentalist.
Yeah.
And that just means, well, tell me what that means.
So basically it's used, for my viewpoint, I like to call myself a mind reader or mentalist. The reason why is it's basically using psychological principles to give the illusion that you can read someone's mind.
Okay.
It's like, I'm kind of on the fence about mediums and psychics because everyone thinks I am one, but I don't say I am one because I just don't believe in the stuff of I'm talking to your dead grandma or things like, it's kind of...
Do you think those people use the same principles?
If they are, they're not psychics or mediums, because if you're using the same scientific principles I'm using, how can you be a medium or a psychic if you have all these special powers?
Okay.
That's just my viewpoint. Like, it's not that I don't believe in them. I just believe that I haven't seen one that's convinced me.
Yeah. Okay, so you're always observing things like other people aren't, correct?
Pretty much. Or just like, I can give you some examples of stuff. Like, so if I was trying to figure out if someone, just a simple example, if I was trying to figure out if someone was left or right-handed, there's 5 things you do. One is you pay attention to their shoulder, because their dominant side, the shoulder is going to be a little lower.
Okay.
2 is the belt buckle. If the belt buckle is towards the right, they're right-handed. If it's towards the left, they're left-handed.
Yeah.
Also watches. So their watch is going to be on their opposite of their dominant hand. And also look for breast pockets. So basically the breast pocket would be open. So if you're left-handed, this pocket would be open compared to this one.
So that's something that you're always aware of.
Like, I can turn it off, but yeah, that's what I'm basically doing at my shows.
Okay. But how does that turn into a show? Like it's not a trick. Do you call it a trick, or what do you call
it does? Yeah, you can call it anything. It's basically, I call it like tricks of the mind.
Okay.
So there's like a million different things like this that you can apply. Like, so you can put someone in I call it a box. So I got really known for something called the Question Act, and the Question Act essentially is really simple. It's if you have to ask a question that means something to you, what question would you ask? So I would get like my audience to think of questions, and I'll tell them straight up what they're thinking of. And the reason for that is because I'm putting people in a box, because specific people ask the same kind of questions. You just got to figure out kind of, it's almost like a path, and you kind of just go that way and try to figure out what question they're thinking of, or, you know, reading people, or it's like there's a lot of things, because there's like, you know, cold reading, there's hypnosis, there's mind reading, there's memory. It kind of, my shows combine all of them, because like, for example, I don't like I like hypnotism, but I don't enjoy like, you know, an hour show, because I find it quite similar. But when you apply it when the audience members don't realize you're doing it, it's much more cool.
So do you have that as part of your act, the hypnotizing
people? Yeah,
people?
so like I can make people forget their names pretty quickly, things like that. But you have to, the thing is, the fact that I just told you I'm going to make you forget your name, it won't work.
Yeah.
And you have to be kind of willing to give it a try. So with hypnosis, what's interesting is it works if you want it to work, but it doesn't work if you don't want it to work.
Huh. So people who go to your shows are predominantly either extremes of that, I would imagine, right? Someone who doesn't want it to, and
the easiest audience are the skeptics, because they all think the same.
Yeah.
And I'm, I guess, a skeptic at heart, so I know how they think. The believers are kind of easy, because they go, like, they believe in the stuff, and not, like, I guess with the show, the message is you're trying to get them to do the cool things.
Yeah.
So I want them to kind of leave the show and be like, wow, I read that person's mind, or I told that person he was thinking of this. That's when the best shows are, because it's never about me, it's about the audience. I think that's why I've succeeded, was because it's about your story. And, you know, a lot of times with life, you kind of, you know, a lot of people settle in life, or I'm not saying they settle, but they kind of, you know, they sometimes miss their calling, or they're just not happy with their life. Yeah. I think my show gives them a little kind of remember when you're a kid, kind of when everything was possible kind of attitude. And I think that's pretty important with life, because a lot of people do miss that, because we're in such a society that's so focused on a lot of times finances and whatnot, instead of having fun, or, you know, just enjoying life. A lot of people miss that.
Do you think people leave your shows inspired to do the things that they wanted to do?
That is my goal. When I write a show, that is the goal. So if someone wanted to play guitar, let's say, and they were always too not confident to do it, I hope I push that into them to freaking go play guitar. Okay. You know, go for your dreams. You only live once.
Is that something that you say in the show?
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. And I try to, like, not boost up, because you meet a lot of cool people, but I try to give them the confidence they need. And maybe that's why they go see mediums, because mediums are a cheap psychologist, right, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And so with like when they come to my shows, they do feel like I do try to direct them in the right direction, the hope to go after what they want to do, because everyone has their own viewpoint, everyone has their own gifts. They just, like, my views on mediums and psychics is also, I think everyone's psychic in their own way. So if, like, for example, obviously you're good at sports, I'm not good at sports, that's maybe your gift, and you probably worked hard to get it. You, like, to get any gift, you have to work hard. There's no substitute for that. But everyone has something.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't tell you one person that doesn't have something that they're good at.
Wow. So you are making a lot of assumptions too, right? I mean,
that's basically what's horrible when you actually think about it. Even just like the show Mindhunter, I think you were saying, it's all stereotyping.
Yeah.
When you actually think about it, it's all statistical knowledge in my head. So, like, for example, most people drive a gray or blue car. You know, if you can see the person from the country, he's going to have a truck. You know, it's stereotyping when you actually think about it. It's quite horrible, but it works if you ever see my show.
It's amazing. I want to know more about it, because, I mean, you know, when you, in comedy world, when you do crowd work, if you can sort of guess what someone, I mean, they always say people do, like, as far as occupation is, they do what they look like they do, right? So, I mean, in Ottawa, it's pretty safe to see someone's an IT and someone's a truck driver.
You have to do your research wherever you go. So when I'm performing in different cities and stuff, you have to kind of do statistics and go, okay, this is let's say a coal town, even though I'm just giving a bad example, say 40% of the audience or 40% of the population is coal workers. When you don't know what to guess that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to do your homework.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Do you look at your audience before you go out?
No, because I get nervous. I still get nervous. Like, you get the butterflies, but then when my character kicks in, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I try not to, and I don't want to get biased. What I mean by that is if I think too much, it's not going to work. So it's almost like go with your gut, go with your intuition.
Wow, that's incredible. You just go out there and just see what's in front of you. I mean, I spend lots of time seeing who's coming in and seeing if I can hear them talk about
I build them up though. So what happens is I design the first, like for Art of Mind Reading specifically, I design the first half so I get to learn a little bit about all of you, and then I go into the question act the second half. So if I didn't do that first half, there's no way I would be getting as accurate in the second half. And then for Paradox, it's more of a high-end theater show, so it's a little different. It's kind of like doing, like, think of it as a play with the mind reading stuff. So the audience is doing all the cool stuff, and it's all connected. So I think we're bringing that back to Centerpoint Theater, I think next April or something.
Okay, so how many? You have 2 shows?
I have a lot, but my main shows are Art of Mind Reading, Paradox, and then I have the big Seance, which was the biggest Halloween event the past 2 years in Ottawa.
That's amazing. How many people go to that?
Last year, the Seance sold 2,000 tickets.
What? Hold on a second. Okay, you do it multiple nights.
Yeah, sorry. It ran from September 15th to November 15th. It was all sold out. And then we did it the year before. All 60 of them sold out in 4 hours.
Well, so, I need a coffee. You don't drink coffee.
You should come this year to the Seance. It's really
I want to know all about it. Okay, so where do you do this?
So the Seance is we basically find a haunted location in Ottawa and we replicate an authentic Victorian
Okay, so
seance.
You believe in spirits and haunting and that sort of stuff?
I want to believe.
Okay.
I want to believe, but it's one of those things where you have to be part of the experience. You know, I think I've had 1 or 2 things happen to me, but it's one of those things as my background going to science and everything, it's kind of like, can I explain this or can I not?
Yeah.
A lot of my audience has had a lot of stuff coming to the seances. Like, it was considered the scariest gather in the past 2 years in Ontario because it's psychological. It's not like, you know, we go down here and someone jumps in front of you and you get scared. No, this is in your head, like really in your head. That's why it's so scary because, you know, you're basically... It's like being in a real life horror movie is probably the best way to describe it.
Did you say where it was? Sorry, did I miss that part?
So last year it was like basically we find haunted locations. I'm not allowed legality. I'm not allowed to disclose the location. You basically meet a location, get taken to the location.
Oh, come on.
Because the problem is they're trying to sell these houses or rent the houses.
Yeah.
So if you're telling everyone, like, when people know this house is haunted, it's harder to sell.
That makes it even scarier.
I know, it's perfect.
Okay, so you show up somewhere, and how many people get on that?
So we make it a small group, so only 16 people.
Yeah.
And so they get taken, they meet up with the tour guides. The tour guides take them to the location. And it's kind of funny because a lot of times you see them kind of joking around and stuff.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the seance, when they're leaving, all of them are just silent, almost like crying. It's quite exciting, actually. Because I think our cry ratio was every second show we'd have 2 or 3 people crying. Like, it was actually crazy.
I love this. And you did 2016 at a time?
Yeah, so 16 at a time. So it was, I think, 110 shows, or I can't remember.
And was it all the same place?
Yeah, all the same place, but each kind of seance is different because it depends on the audience, right? So I kind of go with that. If it's a boring audience, not that you guys are boring or anything, but if it's you know, the seance, nothing's happening, we kind of speed through it. But most of the time, we try to get something to happen or someone to get an experience.
And when you go to these haunted places, are they haunted by the same person that's there every time, or do these people bring sort of someone?
So what we try to do is find locations that have a haunting, because I don't want to kind of bring it in their family or anything like that. And we had a lot of people like that, and they've had their own experiences in it. But last year, for example, it was a mass suicide. So the son
in Ottawa.
In Ottawa. What's interesting, Stittsville has like 5 or 6. It was in Stittsville, and Stittsville, for all places, which is kind of weird, has 5 or 6 mass suicides, like murder suicides of families, which is in such a small location. I don't know why there's so many. But we found a place where basically a son murdered his whole family.
It's
like
terrible.
30, I think it was 30 years ago or something. Okay. 40 years ago. And so we did a seance there.
I guess you needed a bit of time.
Yeah, I guess you can say I have no soul, but it's a cool experience.
Yeah.
We try not to talk much about it just because it's such a intimate experience that we don't want to tell them what they're getting into.
Okay.
But everyone who's come the first year, they come the second, like, it's kind of went boom. So like this year, I think it's going to sell up pretty fast.
And do people think they see things when they're there?
They do. Like, some people have. Like, I've gotten so many messages of people saying they haven't slept in a week, or they saw something or something followed them home, and you know they do techniques like Reiki, and I don't know if I pronounced it right, but they do techniques like that, and hopefully they say it helps them. But yeah, a lot of them have had weird experiences that it sucks because I miss them. So I'll be with the rest of the group, 2 or 3 people go on their own and they have something, and then I miss it. And I'm like, and then they're telling me that it's not that I don't believe them, but you know, you wish you kind of experienced it. So I've had a few things, like a lot of shadowy kind of people following, like in the house and whatnot, but I kind of make it more suggestions. So what I mean by that is anything that happens to me, I don't count as anything, because it could be just me playing tricks on my own mind from being there so many times, right?
Yeah. Isn't that sort of what it all is people start imagining things,
a lot of times,
things.
So if you told someone, like, for example, if you told me this house was haunted, coming into this house naturally, I'd be like, you know, a little more hesitant that if something moved, even though it was nothing, I would be like, it could be a ghost, you know? Even though it's not that. It's just more we're playing tricks on our minds.
Yeah. I mean, this house is 70 years old. Someone must have died in it.
Yeah, so it's a perfect seance house, actually. If you want to write it up.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I tell my kids that all the time. No, I don't. Could you imagine? They'd never sleep. Like any creak, like a squirrel running on their house. Oh, that's Freddy. He died up on the roof.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like,
that's a terrible thought.
This would be a nice seance house, though.
It would be good. We should have one right now. Can we do that?
We totally could. We just need to get the Ouija board and everything going.
Do you use a Ouija board?
I do, but I use it in a, like, basically how a Ouija board works is a lot of people think do you want me to explain?
Yeah, of course.
So a lot of people just, like, you know, some people believe it's, you know, you're talking to someone else and that's what's controlling it. But what the scientists say, it's the small muscle movements in your hand controlled by your subconscious. So what it is it's something called Halcyonism or muscle reading. So if I grab someone's arm and say, think of a corner in this room, your arm, without realizing, is going to move to tell me which corner you're thinking of.
Huh.
Think of how a pendulum works. You have a pendulum and you think circle. Why does it go in a circle? It's because it's the small muscle movements in your hand. So that's how they believe a Ouija board works. You don't actually consciously know you're doing it, but that's what you're doing. Or that's what it's believed you're doing.
Yeah. Wow. And so you're actually... Like a Ouija board, yeah, there's always someone you can't trust.
No, and that's the other issue, and that's why I always say at the seances, it's good because we have all these people, and I can tell if someone's pushing it. Uh-huh. And a lot of people can tell because when you're playing with your friends, it's kind of goofy, you're playing around, but when you're at my seance, it's more serious because we're following this tradition, we're following these formats, that you're less likely to do that because I'll call you out on it.
That's a great idea. This seance thing is a great idea. I really want to go to this. I always want to have someone do something like that that's not going to be goofing around.
Because just because Dylan came, I think it was last year, and he said he had to go to his girlfriend's. Like, he could not stay alone for like a few days because he said he was so scared.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a nice compliment.
He's a bit wimpy though, Dylan Black.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, I don't think he likes the scary stuff, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so that's September to
November. Halloween? We haven't decided 100% if we're gonna do it because it's a lot of work on my end. That's like, you know, 110 shows in 40 days.
That's amazing. Like the practice, like
it
just
burns you
doing
up.
The shows is, I mean,
just because some nights you're doing 3 a night, some 2, because it sold so fast that we didn't really have, like, I think I had 2 days off in 3 months.
Yeah,
because
that's a lot.
It sold so fast. Like, we couldn't just say, oh no, we're not gonna sell any more. So we had to. And it was good. Like, all of them were good. It's just, it really, like, it took me a month to recover after it.
Why isn't that a TV show?
I don't know. I never thought about that. Like I had the TV show on Rogers Mind Games.
Okay.
And then we kind of were working a bit with CBC on and off, trying to get the show going with them, where it's basically you're going to haunted locations and you're using psychology to kind of replicate stuff that's happened. So if, for example, at Fort York, on the 13th floor, someone died. So you would bring someone in who doesn't know the history. You tell them pick any floor you want, and for some reason they would pick the 13th floor, and then you explain why they would pick it. And you kind of explain the science behind it, because I'm always interested in that kind of stuff.
Wow, that is interesting. How did you find out all this stuff? How did you get all this information?
For like the haunted places?
Just everything. How do you do this? Like
I trained myself. Like, I guess, like, I wasn't, as an introverted person, I spent a lot of time studying, that I got really good at the, like, school wise. I was good out. Like, I would have done my PhD, but my performing career took off, and I prefer performing much more than school. Obviously, like, I might still go back and do it, but what happened is, so I did all this research. I took all these courses. Like, for example, like, I'm an expert in handwriting analysis, so I can tell when someone's lying to me. And who I got trained by was the lady who actually did, like, the Zodiac cases and stuff. She has a course, I think it's in Iceland, like a master's course, but it's not certified here. So I just emailed her, and I was kind of like, can I take your course if I pay for you? I don't care about the credits. So I took that course, and then I'm trying to apply that with the police force, because they have to do basically written statements. Anyone that not capture anyone that's not even convicted, but anyone that comes in, they have to do written statements. And I'm kind of like, why not apply handwriting analysis, not as a court thing, but just to notice if they're lying to you?
Yeah.
Because, it directs you in the right direction. It adds more than it doesn't.
Yeah. That's definitely helpful when you're investigating cases.
Exactly.
Every little thing you need, right?
That's what I'm saying, because like, all these people for 50 years have been using the lie detection test. The lie detection test, you can look at studies, and they say the accuracy of it is 50.5%. Which is not good. It's almost the same as flipping a coin every single time.
That's guessing.
Yeah. So why for so long has it been one of those things that they were using in court? Thank God it's now not used in court.
Okay.
But why was it used in court for so long when it's the same as flipping a coin?
Yeah.
So
so you figured out handwriting analysis from an expert from the Zodiac case. And so how do you figure out all the other stuff? How do you figure out, like, probabilities?
So probabilities is all statistical work. So I came up with my own kind of like a program almost. So I have like thousands and thousands of statistics in my head, depending on how someone looks, how someone dresses, what someone wears, the type of body they have, the clothes they wear, the shoes they wear. You're just looking for that. And it's almost like Sherlock Holmes. You're pinpointing stuff, looking for that thing that stands out or doesn't stand out.
So were you a Sherlock Holmes fan when you were a kid?
I never read it, but everyone says I'm similar to that.
Huh? Like so, Matlock.
Yeah.
Or Matlock. Matlock. He was a detective. Magnum PI. Yeah. So you're heavily into this stuff. So when you're younger, you did all this research. Like, is there some course you took? Like, how?
Not like I taught myself. That's what's kind of cool about it. Is I taught myself all these patterns. Memory was what's interesting about memory. For example, memory was kind of life changing. Because imagine how easy school is I can look at a sheet of paper and memorize that whole sheet in like a minute. Because Aristotle came up with the principle, and the principle basically was, if someone in his class said something smart, what he would do is he would slap them in the face.
Slap the person?
Yeah, like, so if you said something smart in his class, he would slap you in the head.
Okay.
The reason he would slap you in the head is because you would remember the last thing that was told to you.
Before you were slapped.
Yeah, so we're basically, to take this principle and make it modern, it's about thinking over the top ridiculous. So for example, when you said your name was Mark, which it is, I would imagine a big X on your head. X marks the spot.
Okay.
And so if I met you again, I would remember the X. I would think of you as Mark. If your name was John, I would imagine a toilet around your head because it's a John. And then you never forget the name.
Try that.
And it actually works. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So you go to a show and you ask someone their name?
So what I do for art of mind reading is I would get a deck of cards, they would shuffle the deck, and I would memorize 1 to 52, and they would say, what is the 22nd card? I would tell them.
Come on, you can't do that.
Yeah, I do, because basically to have a good memory, you have to memorize a deck in under 2 minutes, and you have to memorize 13 decks in an hour to be considered to have the gore memory. It's not hard. Because basically,
it's not hard?
No, it's not. So basically how that works is basically with numbers and stuff, you can't see them in your mind at all, right? Because you can't see the pictures. So how do you go ridiculous on this? So what you have to do is you have to change the numbers to pictures. So basically I use something called the phonetic alphabet. So each number has a picture. So like there's a number 70 right there. So that's, for me, a 7 is a k sound, 0 is a s. So I would think of a case.
Okay.
So if I was trying to remember the number 70, I would think of case.
Okay.
So basically what happens is I have like a pegs, think of like coat hangers on a wall, 1 to 100.
Yeah.
That each card has a picture. So, for example, the 2 of diamonds, it's den. So I put the 2 of diamonds in the number 1 spot, which is a tie, because it's the sounds.
Okay.
And you connect them. And you connect them, and that's how you do it for 52 cards. And then so if someone goes, what is the 22nd card? You just look at the 22nd spot.
Oh, so you're visualizing this as well?
Yeah, you have to see it in your mind or it doesn't work. You have to spend that split second to see it in your head. If you don't do that, you're never going to memorize.
Wow.
So this is better than a photographic memory or eidetic memory because you can take stuff and put it in and out of order, which you can't do that with the other one.
So you can pretty much do any kind of schooling and
that's what I'm saying. That's why school is so easy, because it's not that I'm smart. It's just that I knew the tricks of the mind, right? Because a lot of school is memory work.
Yeah, and that trick in particular, where did that come from? The Aristotle, where did you pick that up?
I read it in a book.
So is this all pre-internet too? Like I'm trying.
A lot of it, yeah, because it took me I couldn't I believe anyone could do what I do, but it just takes 20 years of training.
Yeah.
So
it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work. I basically have no life, but I enjoy what I do, right? So it doesn't seem like work.
Yeah.
And kind of finding these psychological principles and stuff and testing them out is one of my favorite things to do. And a lot of times it fails, right? It fails the first few times, but then you kind of tweak until you find the kind of perfect thing. But yeah, a lot of it was just old books. I would read and then do more research on it and then be like, okay, this principle works, let's try it.
I imagine you walking into an old dusty bookstore and blowing off an old book and then lights coming from it and you just go back to your room for 10 years and read this book.
Essentially, yes. That's what it is in a weird way.
When did this, so this has been the goal early on? Obviously, it has to be if you've put in 20 years of super hard work.
What's interesting is I didn't start performing until I was 18 because I was so terrified of being in front of people.
Okay.
So that was the hard part. Was getting in front of people. So I took acting classes and whatnot because as an introvert you don't know how to do it, and so my character has really developed that the James White is now kind of he's good, the shows are good now and whatnot, because before it was kind of it was my stuff was good, but I wanted to get that aspect, the character aspect, up to where it is, and now it's kind of surpassed everything that I ever imagined, and it's kind of cool that I don't even have to think about it because it took a long time to get to that point. Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, presentation is a huge part of it, I would imagine, for sure, and that's what it's all about. Like you say, you did what'd you say, 100 shows in a week or whatever.
It was insane.
That'll help you out with the presentation. No, 100%. Right?
And that was the second year in a row, because the year before we did, I think it was 60 in 35 days, or like it was something crazy like that, and there was a 500 person waiting list the first year.
Wow, didn't that feel good?
We just couldn't get, like, we couldn't extend, like it was just too much.
Yeah.
So this year or last year we decided.
You see, who's that? Like an agent?
Oh, we did 2 years ago. I did. The other thing is I forgot to mention is I did this all on my own. So
you speak about James White as a different person.
So it's kind of like when I'm doing my shows and stuff, and then there's like business side that I have to do, and business sucks. Like like everyone who always asks me, they're like, should I start a business? I was like, no, because it's so much work. Like all your free time is spent on work that I don't even get enough.
Well, you're an artist, right? And you wanted to be doing the creative.
Yeah, and so what happened with me is because no one, like I never got booked on an agency, or no one really gave me a chance in Ottawa or anywhere. So I said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to do this on my own. And then I learned how to sell tickets, and I've outsold everyone. You know, because any event I do in Ottawa brings in at least 500 people, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I would think that the skills you have would also be good in the marketing and sales world.
Yeah,
right?
I would if I wanted to do that aspect, but. Like I never worked as a marketer, but I can help with that.
But in selling your own tickets.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I never thought of that. But yeah, maybe. I think people like it because it's kind of, the shows are so unique. You'd never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, I'm so excited to go and see one. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, because we're actually doing a secret show in April if you want to come.
Okay.
And I'm going to be...
Can you tell me?
It's Friday 13th of April. I know. Saturday and Sunday. We want to do a really small show, so there's only 40 people a night, so it's going to sell out pretty fast. I haven't announced it yet.
Yeah. And if I'm not working, I'll buy tickets for sure.
I'll send you the info.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing about it is I'm going to explain a lot of it. So it's going to be kind of like this, where if anyone has any questions, I'll explain it after I do it.
Wow, that's great. Because there's obviously so many questions. You know, you get people going, that's unbelievable, buying in. Obviously, you'll get the other half going, nah, it's not really happening. It's a trick. And I guess it's both, right?
It's both. It's a trick of the mind. It's kind of the easiest way to explain it. Like, it is a trick in that sense.
Yeah.
It's just not what you think it is. So it's more you going with the commonality, or you kind of getting put in the box I want you to be put in. And depending on the person, it depends on the trick you're doing. So if you have a skeptical person, you're not going to try to hypnotize them. But if you have a believer, you're going to drop them right there because it's more impressive. So it depends on the person.
Yeah. Who else does this kind of stuff?
In England, there's a man named Darren Brown. I don't know if you've heard of him. No. He's probably the best mind reader in my opinion, in the world. He's from England. He's really famous in England. I actually got to meet him in the summer, so I was pretty excited about that. Canada, I can't really name anymore.
What are some of the incredible things that you can tell me he's done?
He's convinced someone to rob a bank, like using manipulation and suggestion. So basically the episode was he was using all these techniques to make someone rob a bank, even though it was a fictional town. So he brought a guy into a fictional town with all actors, and basically the goal is to make him rob an actual bank, even though the bank was fake. Everything was fake, but to get him to actually do it.
And did the guy know it was a fake town?
No, that's what's interesting.
And he got the guy to go in there?
Yeah, he got him to do it. Wow. So it's pretty kind of cool to see something like that happen. And
is that for a TV show?
It was for a TV show in England. I don't know if I don't think it's here.
Wow. I think it's on YouTube. I think my kid told me about something like that when I was talking to him about you coming. He's like, yeah, I've seen this. We don't have stuff like that here?
Not really. I don't know why. Like, you don't... Yeah, I don't... Like, I've never... There probably is other mentalists. I just don't know of them.
So you don't know of any in North America at all? Like what? Like with the big name?
Most of my mentalist or mind reader friends are all from England or Scotland.
Yeah. What's the guy's name? Walks around the beach there is
Criss Angel.
Yeah, Criss Angel.
Yeah, so he's more magician.
Okay.
So he's like kind of what he did is he took the old school magic principles and made it modern to be put on the street, which is kind of cool because I'm happy like he did that because he brought magic back because magic was kind of dead for a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I don't know what he's doing now because I haven't really followed, but I think he's done pretty well.
Yeah.
Really well. Sure. What am I talking about?
Yeah. He's opened it up for a lot of things, possibilities for sure, right? That's what a lot of people think of when they think of that sort of thing. I would imagine that, like you said, you have a lot to thank him for because people would be attracted to you because of things.
Yeah, because like I always get put in the. It's weird because I always get put in the like kind of psychic or medium side, and I rarely get put in the magic side. I think it's just because anyone who sees my stuff, they go, "Was that real? Or is that real?" You know, it's kind of you think of Sherlock Holmes, like I said, or you think of that kind of stuff more than magic, in my opinion. I could be wrong though, but that's what because we do a lot of feedback stuff. You probably do with your comedy as well. Like, you know, you want to see what people think of the stuff. So I know it's horrible. It's quite horrible. Right? Yeah, because I knew like the seance was doing really well because we when the seance first happened, there was a whole thing on Reddit, and I was like, oh no, because you know Reddit butchers everyone. Yeah, and so what happened is like click it, and there's like 50 posts about the seance, and all of it is good stuff. And I was just like, that's shocking because mostly if you put something online, people just destroy it. Yeah. So I was happy. I knew the seance was kind of a hit when that happened.
Huh. And so the other one, he called it Paradox. What's that?
So Paradox is a theater show. So it's designed for the high-end theaters. So it's been around Canada. I think we're bringing it back for 4 more shows. I've done 4 of them in Ottawa, and they all sold out, which was really exciting.
What theater do you do that?
We did Shankman, Centerpoint, and we actually opened the first time I ever did it at Arts Court. Was the kind of the test show. And so we've done that. I think Shankman we did twice. And so we want to bring it to Centerpoint one more time, just because it's a cool.
How many seats are there? 5,000?
Centerpoint's 1,000.
1,000? Okay,
So I got
that's
somehow
awesome.
sell 1,000 tickets. Yeah.
That's amazing.
In April.
Yeah.
So it's next April. Like, it's not announced now, but that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
April 5th, I think. And we haven't done one in Ottawa in a few years, like maybe 4 or 5 years.
And you start off the show, you finish the show?
Yeah, it's like a 2.5-hour show.
Wow, that's a long time.
But it's all like stories, and it's all connected together. I don't want to ruin the show but it's like doing kind of crazy stuff, again, the audience to do crazy stuff, reading other people, hypnotizing people.
Really? Wow.
But it's all connected. So it's not just like you go there and you're kind of, it's kind of like going to see a band, everything's like that. No, it's connected.
Yeah, and
so
every show's
start
unique.
Connects with the end. Everything I say connects as one.
Wow.
While Art of Modern Reading isn't like that. It's more about the audience. It's kind of, Art of Modern Reading is more of almost like a showcase of my skills or what I do.
Okay.
Versus Paradox is the theater show. So you don't see my skills at work as much. And then the seance is just your show. Like the seance is your event. So I'm just kind of your host, but you guys are doing everything.
Wow. So this started at 6 years old, and then you got on stage at 18. So that time between there, that was sort of, how much time did you say you dedicated or thought about this?
Sounds crazy, but when I actually look at it, how they say the 10,000 hour rule? I probably spend, I'm not even exaggerating, 8 hours a day, every day. Even more, like, even when, like, I'm obsessed. Like, for me, this is fun.
That's amazing.
So, like, how people go out to drink and have fun. For me, practicing is fun.
Yeah.
Performing is fun, so I spend all my time on that.
Is the performing now as fun as, I know there was some anxiety at the beginning?
It's still not, okay, sorry. What I meant by performing, once you're done the show, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, before the show, the day of the show, it's still horrible. Like, I hate it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, so I probably have, 30,000, 40,000 hours when you actually think of the amount of hours I actually put into this.
So before you started, how many hours do you think you'd put into it before you got to on stage?
Over 10,000.
Over 10,000. So you were expert level,
but I was terrified of people.
Yeah, you're terrified of people. It's amazing.
Because, I'll give you a good analogy. This sounds horrible, but why is a psychopath so? Most psychopaths aren't serial killers. Keep that in mind. Why is a psychopath so good at manipulation?
Why is a psychopath so good at manipulation? Because he thinks he's somebody else?
Because basically the thing with a psychopath is they have to learn all this stuff, so they spend the work to learn it because it doesn't come naturally. Like for you, for me, it comes naturally. We can see these social cues. Not that I'm the best at it, but we see these. They don't. So they literally have to practice.
Okay.
So when you practice, what happens? You get better.
Uh-huh.
Same thing with performing. Same thing with anything. Is if you practice, you outwork someone. Like, for example, even if you look at hockey, yes, Sidney Crosby has the skills and stuff, but his work ethic is up there as well.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have the work,
has to be.
If he doesn't have the work ethic, I don't know. He's not the player he is.
That's right. And what people don't realize as well is someone like Sidney Crosby or someone who's reached the peak of it is they've failed more than anyone else.
And that's the kind of like I always looked up to Churchill for that. So Sir Winston Churchill, when you fail, keep walking, and when you're going through hell, keep going forward. Because the thing is, don't look at failure as a failure. Look at it as a stepping stone, because you learn a lot when you fail. You learn more when you fail than when you succeed. So I've failed a lot of times in my career starting to make a name, and that was a good thing. It wasn't a bad thing.
Looking back, what are some of the things that you can point to as failures that really helped you move in the right direction?
I think the people I surrounded myself with, because everyone wanted a piece of the puzzle. Everyone's like, oh, you're doing so well. They don't realize the amount of work is put into it, so they want a piece of it. So then what happens is, if I had times where, old managers and stuff have stole money, things like that, where if I just put them, like if I just read them non-biasly, I would know they're a narcissist or a psychopath. But it was kind of one of those things where you want to trust people. So I think I trusted too much when I was making a name.
Just trusting too much, probably thinking more about the craft, right?
Yeah, that's the problem, is you're so in love with what you do that you just assume people are naturally good. And a lot of times that's not true, especially in entertainment. Not that I'm bashing all entertainers, but it's a rough field.
Well, it is for sure, because they're two completely different things. Is managing and then being the artist and producing the work, right? I mean, you have to find a happy medium, I suppose. And you look at the people who are the most successful, and by successful I mean with the most amount of money and the most amount of people paying attention to them, which doesn't mean successful.
No, because what it is, I honestly, it's kind of crazy, but I think a lot of it's just luck, being at the right place at the right time. So the thing is, if you work your whole life and you get that 1 or 2 chances, you will exceed because you worked your whole life, versus if you gave up. And then a lot of times it's just luck. It's
That's
just,
right.
You can't take it personally. If you make it or not make it, it doesn't really matter as long as you're happy.
That's right. And Mike Ward, the comedian Mike Ward on this podcast, said you got to stay ready. You can't wait for the opportunity and then get ready. You just have to stay producing amazing stuff. And then, like you say, luck will find its way to you, and then you'll be ready
even
for it.
like for example, Jaron Brown, he was living in I don't know what those what are those kind of housing places called? You know, when you need help financially.
Like social housing.
Yeah, so he was living in that before he made his name because he was so obsessed with his art, but he just couldn't make it financially. Chris Angel Chris Angel when he got really famous was late 30s. And before that, he was fighting, like he was battling his whole life. He never gave up though.
Right.
And that happens with a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's true for everybody, right? You have to find the way that's gonna make you available to the most eyeballs possible, right? Like Chris Angel, I imagine it was right around the time the internet started, and that was a nice thing to forward around to people, right?
Exactly.
Russell Peters, before YouTube, the clips of him doing crowd work and appealing to an Indian audience, all those sort of things. And so, do you have any idea how you're gonna do it, or?
So,
and is it important to you to be?
I've never wanted to be like, I don't really care about fame. I'm not a people person. Like I'm the kind of person that would live in a forest, like not like a little shack in the forest, but I meant like I just like
a serial killer
privacy. Yeah. Most serial killers don't live in shacks, for the record, actually.
Yeah.
But
it's the Unabomber. Sorry.
Except the Unabomber, but he's like, that guy's a genius though. Like.
Okay.
Absolute genius.
Okay, go into your thought. I want to know why he's a genius too. Although.
Okay, I'll tell you after. But so like fame and stuff has never really intrigued me. Money has never intrigued me. The thing is, doing a craft like this, you cannot go into this about the money because you won't make money for a long time. It took me when I was 18. How I started making my money was actually blackjack, which is interesting. So I wasn't even performing. So I made a lot doing blackjack, and that's kind of how I survived. So I never literally counting cards.
Counting cards. Wow, which casino? Hull?
All of them. Like, so basically what would happen is blackjack's interesting because you have to basically come up with a plan. So like poker versus blackjack. Poker is you have to apply the human element. So if you have someone who's never played before and stuff, they could beat you because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But blackjack, it's all math. So you have to set up like a 20-day plan. You have to go in for the 2 hours. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what you do in one day because at the end of if you follow the math, at the end, you're going to win. So what happens is how we did it was we would have a team of 3 or 4. And the reason for that is if they see you counting cards or if they don't like you, they're going to kick you out. It doesn't matter. If you're winning money, they're going to kick you out, even if you're not counting cards. So what happens, you have a team of 3 or 4. You have an investor who basically invests you, pays your salary or whatever. So the earnings of the winnings don't matter. And so what happens is all 3 of you or 4 of you are counting cards in your team. And if the like kind of hotness or like if the security's on you, you take the focus on you. So they keep winning. And
so you're at the same table?
Different tables.
Okay.
Because there's always more than one. And so what happened is I got kicked out a few times. They did. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day you won. But the thing is you can't just do it at one casino. You have to kind of move a lot. So that's what kind of I did. So I've never had like a typical job.
That's amazing. I've never heard that before.
So like if my career fails as a mentalist, guess what I'm going to go back to?
And you'd have to get disguises too.
Yeah, I know. So like
Did you wear disguises?
Not really because I didn't do it in this area.
Okay.
And so if I went back to Hull, I haven't been there in maybe 10 years. And I was banned 10 years ago or whatever it was. That I don't know if they would know. Like, I just don't know how. I actually told the security, I was like, you should hire me to find out who's counting cards because it's really easy.
Yeah.
Because counting cards is not a hard thing. It's +1, -1. It's not hard at all. And I don't get why it's illegal, but it's because they want to make money.
It's bizarre that's illegal for sure. Shouldn't be because you're good at it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of the game is to be able to.
No, yeah. So they're basically not letting you win, but it's like even when you're counting cards, if you miss something, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And most people are just going for one day. When one day the odds go down, but when you're going for 20 days and set up this whole strategy and plan, that's when you win.
So how much do you make? How much money do people like that make? There's 4 people involved?
Yeah, 4 people involved. We made a lot. I can't. The thing is, the money never went to me because I just paid my salary. So, but they were obviously happy because they kept hiring us.
Yeah. Well, in 20 days, what would you make?
Probably like 50, 60,000.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Like it depends on the casino. It depends on what we're going for. But the thing is, the higher money you bring into it, the more you have attention on you. So you got to be careful.
Is there like a legal ramification? Like, can you be arrested for that, or
you can't be arrested? They can ban you.
You just get kicked out.
Because I don't know how they can arrest you for counting cards. Yeah. When technically counting cards is on the grayscale, it's not legal. It's not illegal.
Yeah.
They basically say it's illegal, like the casinos, because they don't want you to win, but it's not illegal technically when you look it up.
Yeah. Okay. So Unabomber, why is he? And you're very smart. You know what? Because I've noticed you can talk on different levels and talk about different things and come back to them.
What?
So your brain is obviously
trained.
Very trained.
Well, I did get a full scholarship to university.
You did?
Yeah.
Because you're counting cards.
Well, it's basically the memory stuff, right? That stuff is like it's like people like a lot of kids are. I don't understand. You know, kids do like, you know, Kumon math and stuff, and I'm just like, why aren't these kids who care so much about school getting a trained memory? Because when you imagine how easy it is for me to study for an exam and get like 100 every time.
Okay, so a kid that's listening to this, how can they improve their memory? What can they do? Like just something easy and simple.
I have a course, but I don't like basically train the public unless like someone really wants it. But mostly it's for law enforcement, and a lot of lawyers have taken it, and their memory goes up 1,000 times like within a month. Like it's actually,
so is it a month-long course?
It's a 12-week program,
Yeah.
so basically 12 PDFs, but I'll like call them as well, and it's really easy because it's basically stuff that you're doing on your day-to-day life. So I'll be like, I need you to memorize this with this.
Wow.
When you're walking, like it's so easy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why people don't know about this.
Why isn't it taught in school?
That's what's interesting is that question you just asked. I asked that the same thing. I just don't understand why it's not taught in school, because imagine how easy school is, and maybe they don't want you to know because they want school to be memory work.
They don't want it to be memory work.
Or they want it to be memory work, so they don't teach it.
But it seems to me the memory work would be easier if you knew how to memorize things. You know what I mean?
Notice how most of school, even they say university is critical thinking. That's a load of crap. I've gotten so many arguments with my profs about how they just want me to think in a box. Even if I think outside a box and source everything, they're still like, oh no, we don't want that. And I'm just like, you know, it's boring. You know, it makes you really not excited about it.
Right.
And it's all memory work. That's all the 4 years was memory work.
There's definitely critical thinking involved, but if you can memorize everything perfectly, I imagine you'll still do very well, right?
Yeah, it's true. If you just there's not much critical. Okay, fine, there's a bit, but But yeah, if you could have a memory, imagine, because you can spend, even if you think about this, you don't spend all your time studying. You now spend your time applying that to your papers or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's better use of time instead of memorizing something you forget the next day, which most people I know did that.
Yeah, that's the way it is for sure. Like,
and so when it cut down the memory load, so if it takes the average person, let's say 4 hours to memorize a piece of paper and it takes me 2 minutes, it's a big difference.
Do you think if you memorize something, it's always in your brain?
You have to reinforce it.
So, but it's in there. Like, can we compare it to a computer, like a hard drive and RAM, that kind of thing? Or
kind of. So you would have to reinforce it. What I mean by that is, say I memorized something a year ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't reinforce it, but when I went back to it, it would come to me really fast, but I would have to refresh it.
Okay, so it's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere.
Wow, it's incredible. I mean, the mind.
But the cool thing is anyone could do, because this was like part of these systems were designed for stroke victims. Because when a stroke victim happens, a lot of times they lose their memory.
Yeah.
So what happens is it gives them their memory or better back.
Wow.
So when you apply to a person with average intelligence or just an average person, their memory goes insane. It's better than anyone's.
Yeah. So you're on top of all this like brain research.
Yeah.
This is your thing for sure.
This is my thing. Yeah.
What? So I've heard people say before, oh, we don't use 80%. And then you hear new things. Oh, we use an 80%. What's your theory on that?
I don't know if that stuff is hard to kind of, I don't even know if it's a science because it's hard to prove.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like with science and psychology, you got to repeat it over and over to become science. So the 80 to 20, I never really understood that. They kind of say, oh, you're using the 20% when you're using your mind reading stuff. And I don't buy that.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's anything special. Like I think, yeah, maybe you can develop aspects of your brain that other people can, but it's not special. It's not this kind of, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. What do you think is the strongest part of your brain that sort of other people do not have?
My work ethic.
Wow.
So I can outwork anyone. That's the one thing I'm proud of, or like I take a lot of pride in, is I probably was not the best performer. Like I was never the best performer, but the thing is, you see all these performers when I was getting into it who were probably better than me, but they had no work ethic.
Yeah.
So I outworked them, and that's why I'm not saying I'm better than them, but I'm saying why I'm succeeding versus a lot of other people is because I'm willing to literally. If I have to sell a show and say the show's not selling, I will literally message every single person I know, not begging them, but asking them to come to my show.
Yeah.
How many entertainers would do that?
Yeah. No, you got to do stuff like that.
You don't have a choice.
It's interesting that you consider that as part of your brain, because it is for sure part of the work ethic, right? The ability to focus and to maintain that and to keep going, because there's pain involved. That's why people stop, right? They're like, I can't do this anymore, and they stop.
You just can't give up. You got to see the big picture. And I kind of use the negativity as kind of a inspiration.
Yeah.
What I mean, like most people get negative, say someone says you suck and it brings you down. For me, it's not. Like I haven't really got butchered in a long time, thank God.
Yeah.
I guess I got to that point where people like my stuff. But when I was getting butchered when I was younger, you would use that as negativity, or like you would use that negativity as positivity. So you'd use that as inspiration to come and push you and say, you know what, I'm going to be better.
Where'd that come from? Do you know?
I don't know. I think I listened to a lot of, like, one of my favorite bands growing up was Nirvana.
Okay.
And I think the thing with Kurt Cobain was he kind of defied all odds. You know, this was a guy who overthrew Michael Jackson out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he was just like some poor kid that no one cared about his music, no one cared about anything, and he becomes the biggest rock star in the world. It almost kind of put this thing into me where anything's possible. Just don't give up. Because he used to, what people don't realize is he used to practice with the band 5 hours a day every single day before their big album Nevermind came out. That's crazy. 5 hours a day.
Yeah, for a band, for sure. Yeah.
And that's why they were so tight when you saw them live. And when they were recording albums, it was so tight because they basically had it done before even going to the studio.
So work ethic for him too?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, incredible.
Well, that's what I think. I think like work ethic. I don't really take much into talent. If someone's talented, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because even Stephen King has said talent's like table salt. It doesn't matter. It's your work ethic.
Wow, that's a Stephen King one too.
Yeah.
And that's a guy who's very prolific, right?
Probably one of the greatest like writers ever, maybe sold wise. I don't even know. Like he's up there.
Definitely.
Everything Stephen King, yeah.
What part of the brain do you think is still there that people don't use, and maybe you've seen it somewhere? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there part of it?
I think what happens a lot of times, the brain goes on autopilot. So say you get your 9-to-5 job, you're tired when you get home. What happens is your brain doesn't grow. Your brain is like a muscle. So like doing exercise actually really helps the brain. So when I'm writing my shows, a lot of times I'm doing exercise or walking because your brain is stimulated.
Yeah.
It makes it grow almost. It makes you think better. So if you're say you're trying to solve a problem, instead of sitting there, stand up and walk. It give you much more ideas.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times because of work and kind of the life thing where people get put into that kind of 9 to 5, you're tired, you go to bed, there's nothing really exciting, they don't learn new things, so your brain kind of starts not shrinking, but it doesn't expand. You want to learn stuff, you want to do stuff. That's what kind of makes you live longer. They've done all these studies that like communicating with people and stuff, you need that brain to go. You want the brain to go. So the thing is, if you just kind of settle with your 9 to 5 job, you don't really learn anything, you don't really do anything, just do stuff, learn stuff, your brain will develop and get bigger, and you trust me, it'll be much more exciting.
What kind of things you teach yourself about? What things that we wouldn't guess that you do to make your brain stronger?
I've played guitar and writing songs my whole life.
Music for sure.
I take fitness really seriously. Like I have to put in an hour a day every day. Because like I hate working out. Like I freaking hate that stuff. But what I do is I consider it part of my job. So it's just an hour of my job every day. Because like for shows you need your brain to go. Because I've had times where it's almost like how much coffee do you drink?
Way too much. Probably I could say 10 glasses a day.
Yeah, okay, so you're an addict like when I was. And so what happened was, when you don't have coffee and you got that kind of tiredness, there was times at shows I would have that, and it was more because I think my fitness wasn't where it needed to be and stuff. And so I got that to that level, so now my brain wakes up. As you can tell, when we first met, I was kind of, not groggy, but I wasn't here, but now you kind of saw my brain just kind of go and come out, like be more confident or whatever the word is. And I think just that's how it works.
And when people are talking about things they're passionate about too, they come alive for sure. I mean, I see it here for every podcast without exception. Everyone comes in the same similar way. And then when we start talking about things that they're passionate about, that they love, then it's game on. You look down, it's been an hour.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah. For me, coffee is it's almost, well, I don't know if I need it because some days I'll go without it if I'm right into something.
You don't get headaches or anything?
No. Damn. But one thing I did notice a huge improvement in my brain, because I retired from professional football because of a really bad concussion. And I started speaking.
Like what age were you when you got the concussion?
29.
Okay, so you're relatively young.
Yeah, so I probably had concussions along the way as well, and I guarantee I did for sure. But just a really big one when I was 29, and that's sort of why I retired playing. And I would see effects of it like lots of times. And then I started being a motivational speaker.
Can you give me an example of like the effects?
Forgetting what you're talking about. Huge one for sure. Losing focus of what you're saying.
Focus is really like a big thing with concussions.
Yeah, massive. That would be it. And I'd be on stage, I'd be talking about my story, and I go, what was I saying? Like where was I? And one thing that huge difference. So obviously repetition, doing that over and over, knowing, and then just simply realizing I can just ask where I was and people will tell me. It's not a big deal. With his diet, started eating more vegetables, less sugar, all that. It has a huge effect on your brain.
And that's what I was saying. Like basically when I said exercise, that was also implied diet. I just didn't say diet, but it was like the whole cycle together.
Such a big deal.
Like when you eat junk for a few days, you can tell that lethargic. You can't think.
You can't even.
It's almost like you can't focus.
That's right. Now I think when I'm going to go on stage and I have to worry about material that I'm going to do, new stuff, if I've written it down, this is actually what this is. These aren't notes. These are just me writing out a bit. And I wrote it out twice. It's in my head forever. It's what I consider. And if I go, especially well slept, exercise regularly and a good diet, there's no problem with recalling
100%.
This. And that's such a huge difference in my life, is this diet.
No, it's 100% true. Like, I agree. Like, if diet is, you get more results from the diet than the exercise, but you want to do both.
Yeah.
They both have too many benefits to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the other thing with coffee, when I was a coffee addict, so basically what happened was I would get major headaches. I would not wake up. Like you wouldn't get awake until you drank your coffee. But I found when I quit coffee that the wake up was the exact same as if I wasn't. So it wasn't giving me anything.
Yeah.
When you think about it. And it was quite bad getting off it. It took me like 4 months. So almost.
I can't even imagine. Like for me, it's almost a comfort thing. Like almost, I don't know, it's cultural. Just, I love having a coffee with my wife in the morning.
It's the same concept of smoking. So if someone's trying to quit smoking, I can get people off smoking really fast. And the reason for that is nicotine has a 48-hour dependency. After that, it's all psychological. It's all the ritual. So kind of like you're saying with the coffee, having the coffee in the morning with your wife, they want to go smoke with their friends outside. Right. That's what you got to flip.
Interesting.
So it's not the actual addiction to nicotine. It's the addiction to the ritual.
Wow. So that's something you've done too?
I've gotten people off cigarettes really quickly. Like 1 session, 2 sessions.
Wow.
So within a week.
That's huge.
Yeah. So I was thinking of starting a business on the side, just getting people off cigarettes really quickly. Because it's kind of cool and kind of fun. Because it does change your life. Because smoking's awful.
Huge. It's a game changer, man, for sure.
But the thing is, if you will only quit if you want to quit. So if you don't want to quit, so say the mother brings their kid over, and because they want the kid to get off smoking. If the kid's not the one that puts down the money and stuff, he's not going to quit.
Right. It's like anything in life. You can't take your kid to hockey practice and expect them to want to be there.
Thing. So it's just a waste of time if that's the case.
Yeah. That's a huge part of it, right? And I can see that in you. It's commitment and the passion to do something, right? Like you're so passionate about this that, there's just nothing ever going to get in your way. You know what I mean?
And a good example, say someone wants to get into fitness. If they get taken to fitness for free, so they get a free membership, they're not going to go. But if they get a membership where they're actually paying for it, they're going to go because they paid for it, even if they don't like it.
That's right. Yeah.
And so all the studies have shown this. It increases, like even for quitting smoking, by them paying for it, it increases the odds by like 80%. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
Just from them committing.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are quitting. It's not me quitting. They just got to realize they can quit. Because you get this kind of whole thing where smoking is hard to quit, which it is hard to quit. But the thing is, everyone says it's like impossible. When you grow up, I always remember people saying, I want to quit, but I can't. I want to quit, but I can't. But they can.
Yeah, they just
if they
don't
really
want to
yet. Yeah. If they really want to.
Yeah, because people are pretty quick to quit when and they have a heart attack or something like that, right? Like, and so they're like, wow.
Basically, they're forced to quit because of a situation, which I guess is good for some people, but a lot of people, you want to almost prevent it. It's like crime. You want to, like, you build a play structure so people don't commit crimes because they rather play in the play structure versus you don't build a play structure and eventually they commit a crime. Don't you think the preventable one is better? Same thing with smoking, is you almost want to catch them before the bad stuff happens.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. If you can do it before, that's even better. Absolutely. What's next? What's in the future? What are you going to do? What's the big show that you're thinking about your whole life?
So I have a show called Premonition.
Okay.
And Premonition was the show that's supposed to be after Paradox. And kind of I was like, once my career is really big, that's like the dream show. I wrote it around 10 years ago. So that's kind of one of those things. Maybe in the next few years, it's going to start coming. Paradox, I want to do a few more times though before I do that.
Yeah. And so Paradox. You said you have... That's the one that's coming up in April? That's the Secret Show?
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. The April show is Paradox at Center Point. The Secret show is at a small venue. It's just up close and personal because I don't get to do much close stuff anymore. So I want to do a show for 40 or 50 people a night. That's it. It's really small.
Yeah.
And kind of like everyone has their question. Almost like a seminar in a weird way. Like you're doing stuff, but then if they want me to explain it, I will.
That's amazing. And so you make a living. You make a living out of this.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is weird, for sure. Like a good living? Like, do you live at your parents' house? Do you live...
It's like an on and off thing. So some years are better than others, but it depends. What I do a lot of times, I take the money and invest it to the next thing. So like people don't realize how expensive it is to book these theaters, right? Like for the seance last year, I'll give you an example. The seance before I even started, I had to drop $50,000 of my own money to get it going because you remember I have to sell it, I have to market it. We actually brought it, like we sold tickets at $50 a pop, sold 2,000 tickets. So we brought in 100,000. But you got to remember that's a $50,000 risk before you even sell a ticket. That's scary.
Yeah.
Like, that could be an all or done thing. People don't realize why, like some people, I don't know if people complain about the ticket price. I don't think anyone who came to the show does.
Yeah.
But say you didn't know about it and you're like $50, but you got to realize how much it actually costs.
That's what a show costs for sure, man. Yeah.
So that's the one thing I think I don't like about entertainment is people are kind of like, they don't realize how expensive these theaters are.
Oh, playing a theater is amazing for sure.
Yeah. Like even like I don't have, like I've done every theater but the NAC, but the NAC doesn't really support performers other than their own kind of ones that get on grants and no one goes to. No offense to the NAC, but it's been like, as someone who's made it, it's kind of, it would be the worst place to book because they don't really care about you.
Yeah.
and they overprice. They don't overprice. It's almost the same as Centerpoint, but the thing is they don't offer stuff. So like Centerpoint would offer an email blast if you pay for it. NAC only offers it to their own productions, which they're getting from all our grants that we're paying for anyways.
Yeah.
You know, and they're bringing these acts in that no one goes to, and it's kind of like, okay, why not just support people
Yeah,
that
for
want to
sure.
actually book it?
Why not just send
Because like I'll
all
give you an
information.
example. So I went there last February to book for a year from then, and they basically said, "Oh, we gotta wait for our productions to come in. You can't book." And I'm just like, you know, that's kind of bullshit. No offense, but like as someone who's from Ottawa and who's made a name in Ottawa, don't you think you want to support someone who's actually made it in Ottawa?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I know
It's
I'm
something
ranting
different
about
too,
NAC,
right?
But it really bothered me because it's kind of like it's not about this; it's about their grants, and who cares if anyone actually goes.
Yeah.
And so that really bothered me. So like, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think it adds like texture to the shows you're putting out there when you have someone who's completely different than everyone else, right? Another reason.
And that's what I don't get is they're bringing these acts in and they have never brought a mind reader. I don't know if they have, but it's like you have the show right here, and yes, I have to do it on my own. I'm willing to do it on my own, but the thing is, if you're not even helping me when you have all these marketing options that I'm willing to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll do it for your own events that you're getting grants to do. Like we're paying for, their productions.
Yeah.
It's not like someone's just booking it because that's rare at the NAC.
So the Unabomber is a genius. Let's just.
Okay, not that I support the Unabomber, but I'm just saying.
I was interested in. I watched the documentary there about him, and it's very intriguing.
So he basically got it. Like what screwed him up was a few things. One was basically there was a study done on him when he was 16 years old.
Okay. And
they basically butchered him. Mm-hmm. And so it was done at one of the universities. Like he got a PhD so young. Like this guy was he had a 7-point higher IQ than Stephen Hawking's.
Wow.
But the problem is a lot of people who have really high IQs, they have mental problems. So he was really in isolation and whatnot. So if you actually read his manifesto and stuff, what's scary is some stuff I do agree with when you actually read it, but I don't agree with obviously what he did.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at him as a person, that guy is brilliant. Like in a bad way, but like he's like, I don't want to I'm not glorifying him, but when you actually look at his manifesto and look at his writing, this guy was like, he was on a different level intelligence wise.
Are all mass murderers higher level?
No,
of
most of them are stupid. Like everyone give this whole perception that Ted Bundy was really smart. No, he was an idiot.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy just got through school like C's. He went into he tried to get into law school. He failed many times and then eventually got in. He got caught because he was stupid. He would have got away with all his crimes if he wasn't stupid, because he was so narcissistic, which is part of sometimes a serial killer because he was a psychopath as well.
Yeah.
But he was so narcissistic that he wasn't able to get away with it because he wanted. I don't know if you heard the story, but he basically wanted to represent himself.
Okay.
And they had no evidence on him. Nothing. There's no DNA evidence ever on him. Huh. And so he wanted to represent himself because he thought of it as a game. Like, I'm smarter than the cops, blah, blah, blah. If he just had a lawyer, he would have got nothing.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy when you actually think about it and how he got caught, which was really funny. He went through a red light and basically a cop tried to pull him over and he decided to flee for no reason at all.
Yeah.
So if he didn't flee and stuff, he just would have got a ticket and nothing would have happened because they would have not searched the car. And then they asked him, can we search your car? And because he wanted to play the game with the cops because he's so smart, which he's not, he said yes. And they found all the stuff on him. Like they found a ski mask and all these weird stuff. They're kind of like, this is kind of weird.
Okay.
And then they brought him in for questioning, but there was no evidence on him. They had one eyewitness person from I think it was a mall or a school, but the thing with that is eyewitness testimony does not work. Like eyewitness testimony is one of the most inaccurate things. So you can't even base a whole case on that.
Yeah.
And so he got caught by being a narcissist, basically. His
so
weakness.
You can't base anything on eyewitness testimony because
it's not accurate at all. All studies have shown it's one of the most inaccurate things out there. So basically, I saw this person commit a crime. Are you sure about that? You put them in a row. You have to, and the police are also coercing a lot of times. So if you just put a picture of the person and say, is this the person?
Yeah, they're leading
versus having like 10 pictures. You have to do all these things because
the same reasons why your seances work, right? Like
exactly.
People start seeing things.
And the fact that I can push so many things onto people in my shows shows how easily it would work in a different setting. Like it would work in a, so many, like there's 10,000 people wrongfully convicted a year.
Wow.
Which is crazy in North America. And that should not happen to that degree. I'd rather have a guilty person go get away than have an innocent person in jail because that's bullshit.
Wow. What part of being a mentalist? What's your weak point? What's something that you want to be able to do that you can't do yet at a show?
At a show?
Yeah, like as a performer.
That's a good question. Like, because basically how I come up with my stuff is I basically think of an idea and then try to replicate it. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like going backwards. So you like a stupid example would be like, imagine if I could make that chandelier levitate. Not that I'm going to do that. I would go backwards and figure out how I could do that. Not that I'm just giving a magic example, just because the mind stuff is not as easily explainable.
Yeah.
But it would be like, oh, if I wanted the person to always think of a an elephant, how would I do that? And I would go backwards and use the science behind it to explain it.
Okay. How does someone like Chris Angel make someone levitate? You know, the way?
Wires.
Really?
Yeah. And camera tricks. He's known for his camera tricks.
Okay, so when he's doing those
like,
videos,
as in, he could not replicate that on the streets.
Okay.
So if you brought him to Ottawa, he could not.
So when he's doing it, there's wires and the people are just ignoring.
There are wires. You can get invisible wires as well.
Okay.
How David Blaine did it is, do you remember he did that?
David Blaine, yeah.
So how David Blaine did it is he had that. You remember he did that like little levitation where it was a few inches up.
Yes.
And then went back down.
That's right.
So what he would do, and then he had the other one where he went really up.
Okay.
It was a camera cut. So you would do that few inches one, which is I forget what it's called, the Balducci levitation or something. It's a really common thing, and it's an angle thing, so it looks like you're going up a few inches.
Okay. So you're on your heel.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then he would get the audience reaction. Then he would cut that, so it's not the little one, but it's the one he's getting pulled on a wire. So it looked to the audience at home watching that they're actually watching him go up.
Yeah.
They're actually they're just watching that small one. So it's kind of fun.
It's editing. It's like you can't
Yeah,
do
'cause,
that
like,
on
I don't-
television.
Like, I believe in magic. I think I believe in the philosophy of magic, just like I believe in the philosophy of Santa Claus or whatever. But I don't know if I believe in like levitations and stuff
Wow.
because I don't think it's ever been proven.
Yeah. That's always the question mark for me. I'm like, when you stop watching, is it when you see stuff like that and you're like, wow, pretty sure that can't be done.
No, it's true. And the thing is, if you look at the philosophy of magic, basically anything's possible.
Yeah.
It's like thinking like a kid. So when you're a kid, you believe that everything is possible. When you get older, you kind of lose that. So getting that feeling back when you were young, I think that's magic to me.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So the weak point, it sounds like, in your whole development of being this performer was the actual getting on stage. What did you do to overcome that?
I took acting classes, which I hated, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm
Why
not
did
an
you hate
actor.
them? I thought they were fun. I took one once.
I'm just not good in social situations.
Okay.
Like if you I'm fine one-on-one, but say you had a group of people right now, until I start talking or do an effect on them, I'm so shy and quiet. And I'm not in character right now or anything, but I'm still just naturally like that.
Okay.
So for the go on stage and get pushed on stage, it was quite hard, in front of 500 people. Or I think my first show, it was in front of 150 people or something. So it was quite terrifying.
Yeah.
But I just knew I always wanted to do that. I just made myself do it. It's almost like you push yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. What were the thoughts in your head? Like, for example,
it's like physiological. Like you feel sick. Like you legit feel sick in every aspect. And you don't want to be up there. And it's almost nightmares, but when you get up there, it's not that bad. It's just I don't know what. Maybe it's because I have passion for my art. So if I ever lost that feeling, maybe I wouldn't want to perform anymore because you lose that passion. So.
Carolyn Waldo, who was here 2 weeks ago, was talking about before she went out on stage, before she went out to the pool for her gold medal performance. And, so I'm so always interested in that sort of thing. And because, we have these words that we tell ourselves before we're doing something, and they can be, I don't screw up. I hope this, they can be negative or they can be positive. And it's not an easy game to play, right? You got to keep battling down those negative things, keep saying those positive things.
I think what I do is because I practice and rehearse so much that it almost becomes muscle memory. So if I think in that sense, I'm gonna fail. It's almost like playing guitar. When you're playing a solo, you screw up. When you're not thinking, that's when it goes good.
Right.
Same principle with performing for me is if I'm thinking it's not gonna work.
Right.
I have to think in a different sense. So when I'm reading someone, I'm doing that, but it's not like I'm gonna fail. What's gonna happen? I just don't even think. I don't even care.
Yeah.
And if I fail, who cares?
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Well, that is a good way of thinking. Like if I fail, who cares? Because really, who cares? No one's going to know, first of all, and you move on, you keep going.
No, it doesn't even matter at all.
Right, does not matter. Because thinking about that will make you fail.
100%. Because you're now thinking, it's like saying, don't think of an elephant in this room. You're thinking of an elephant. Same principle. If you're thinking of failing, you're going to think you're going to fail, and you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So who cares? My philosophy is if you put the time into something, the end result does not matter because you put all the time, you couldn't change anything. And I was always like that with school. Is if you put all the time, put all the effort, there's nothing you can change. Who cares?
Right. The hay is in the barn. That's what they say, right? You just put the time in and then you go out there and do it.
Exactly.
Right.
There's nothing to worry about.
That's right. Have fun. So the next show you said you wrote 10 years ago, what's that about?
So Premonition. So it's basically a new take on the theater show. It's kind of like a more show about a subliminal influencing.
Okay.
And that's all I can reveal right now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the dream show, and that was something that I said once my career took off, like really took off, I would do that show.
Yeah.
So
it's already written.
It's already written, but like obviously I'm gonna have to tweak it again. But like the core's there.
That's amazing. So how many shows do you have that are already written?
So Art of Mind Reading's written. The Seance, basically we have to write it every year if we just do it because we have to find the haunted location, figure out the stories. The Paradox is written. So I basically have 3 that I do, and then I just have freestyle. So I probably have like 10 hours worth of material that I could do at any given time.
Wow.
And it depends on my mood. A lot of times I don't. It's one of those. I find when I force it too much, it doesn't work out. When I kind of freestyle and not really care that much, that's when it goes well.
Awesome.
So basically, when someone tells me on the spot to do something, I'm like, okay, and you just kind of,
Yeah.
you don't really think, you just kind of do something.
Yeah, it's like telling the comedian to say something funny.
Yeah.
What? So how much of your time, like, what do you spend your time doing if you have all these things all written? Like, how do you?
So basically, I'm always learning new techniques, like
Okay.
nonstop. So I want to always learn a different technique. I spent a lot, like I got really good at pickpocketing when I was 18, and then I forgot it all.
Okay.
Not forgot it all.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't do it. So now, like lately, I've been kind of brushing that, spending a few hours every day on just pickpocketing to
How
get
do people
back
do
on.
that? How do people get away with
So
that?
pickpocket is misdirection. So it's not about how good you're at stealing the item. It's about the misdirection of the mind. So misdirection, a lot of people think, look there, and they look there, and that's when you do the move.
Yeah.
It's not that. What it is you distract the mind. So if I guess the easy principle is, say you're working and your kid's poking you because they want your attention, you don't notice the poke because you're so focused on your thing.
Yeah.
That's the principle you have to get into their head. So basically you ask them questions. You go, sorry, what's your name? You say, Mark, do you have anything in your pocket? When you're thinking that, that's when I'm pickpocketing you. Because you're thinking. When you think, you don't notice the actions as much.
Okay.
And then the second thing is you do the bigger action highs the smaller action. So you're doing this at the same time. So if I was punching you right there and hitting you with a sledgehammer right there, what do you notice? The sledgehammer only.
Yeah.
You don't notice the punch. So that's the small action. So basically, I'll touch you right here when I'm pulling it out while asking you a question.
Yeah.
So you don't notice anything.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it works. So I got actually known when I was like 18 or I think around 20, early university, was I got known for pickpocketing cops. Like that was what I was known
Come
for.
on, you pickpocketed cops.
Yeah, and they always got mad at me, but it was like really funny. Because I was just always curious if they had the same kind of...
Like a cop on duty?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was risky.
would you do?
I would give them back their wallet and they'd get so mad at me. Wow. And so I got one of my friends out of like a ticket because he had not that he was drinking, but he had an open bottle in the car, and the cop pulled him over, and I pickpocketed him. And it distracted him enough that he got away with a bottle.
What can you do as a big move to distract a cop, though?
You basically, like I just said, oh, we were saying nothing, and then I pickpocketed. I remember, I think I stole something from him, and then he got mad at me, and all the tension was on me because I did that to him.
Yeah.
I didn't get arrested or anything because it was more of a joke, but then they never checked. So like my friend was always grateful about that.
That's amazing.
But
That's a huge accomplishment. That should be in your bio.
the thing is, what
Pickpocket
people
cops.
don't realize is cops don't have that much. Like they have their training, but they don't have training. Like I'm friends with a lot of cops now, as you can tell, because I do stuff with them, and they don't have much training, to be honest.
Yeah, but all their stuff's like snapped down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I know,
it's sort
but
of
like
protected.
it is, but the thing is, you can steal someone's like tie, you can steal someone's belt if you misdirect them enough.
Wow. Have you done that? Steal a belt?
When I was younger, but the belt thing it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like the hardest I found actually is a watch that's clasp.
Okay.
Because what happens is you have to get it through the hand like this. So you basically have to do another, like some stupid magic trick. Let's say like, oh, imagine your coins going in this hand or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you got to get them to do their hand like this so it goes out. So you can see how hard that actually is.
that would be
Versus
hard.
leather band is the easiest to steal.
Because you just undo it.
Yeah, because it
slip
just
it off.
clip, bring them.
Yeah. Huh. Amazing. Well, that's been an hour, man. That was mind-blowing stuff for sure. Thanks a lot for doing that.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate that. That's great. We'll take some pictures and turn that off.